Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Jerel Hendricks back on the board as always. We are here for our round one playoff preview special, talking all things South Carolina high school football. John, this is going to be a bit of an odd show. As you guys have seen over the years, round one typically is not the strongest, so we'll go through round one. We'll talk about maybe some favorites, some sleepers for the whole playoff bracket. So it's not just folks on this week's games, man, but going to be a lot of fun because, the second season is here. The slates are clean, and here we go.
Yeah, it's brand new system for everybody. Whether you're a 1 seed or a 4 seed, you're in, you got a chance.
No doubt about it. As always, be sure to follow us here on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Each and every Tuesday, about 7:15, we do a live preview show. We'll have one next week for round two. Hope you will tune in again for that. Throughout the week, we have coach interviews, player interviews, teams of the week, players of the week, food reviews, all kinds of great stuff across social media. So follow us on all platforms to keep up to date on that type of stuff. We'll be really busy here in the playoffs with a lot of great coverage as well. So hopefully you guys will definitely check us out for the next month and a half here on Moving the Chains. Get your Moving the Chains merch today. Lots of great stuff for you. Some great T-shirts. We've got a black T-shirt, a gray T-shirt, a navy blue, and a pink as well. Great Christmas gifts. You can email info@movinchains.com to order yours today, or just send us a DM on any social media platform. We've got some great hats, Richardson hats, gray fronts, black back, kind of a tan back, also a black front one up there. We've got some toboggans for those cold weather games. It's going to be cold here in a couple weeks, guys. You want to get these to wear. Actually, I was freezing last Friday and Thursday, so it might be time for one now. A black and a gray toboggan, the Moving the Chain stickers as well. You can put them on your laptop, your car, your Yeti cup, anything that you want to do them for. They are great for that. Also, our Moving the Chains hoodies, a gray one, also got a stone color as well. Order those today, info@movinchains.com. Help support us, help grow the program, help get the word out there, and help us get more and more viewers and commenters each and every week. John, any other thoughts from you before we get ready to roll into this round one playoff preview special?
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm interested to see which games you think could be close this week, because we know we'll see some blowouts this week too.
We've got a comment from Armani. Says, new season, everybody 0-0, road to Orangeburg. Certainly right, man. Doesn't matter what you did regular season now. Everybody has got that 0 in the columns. Time to roll here. Brandon says, what's up, fellas? Ready to the playoffs. He'll be at Wilder Stadium watching Clinton play North Central. 2 7-3 teams going at it. Zach says, good evening. Playoffs are a punish. Red Devils ready to defend their title. Let's separate the pretenders from the contenders. No doubt about it, man. Going to be some heavyweight matchups here in round 2 and 3 and so forth. Travis says, what's up, guys? He'll be at Westside Friday night against the Rams. The Rams look great. I saw them in person last Thursday. A team that has really grown throughout the season, clinched the region title on the road. Great to see those guys. Great to see Travis as well over at Wren. Jonathan says, Red Foxes took a beating. Hopefully they can make a playoff run against South Laurence. Yeah, South Laurence, they've been beating a lot of guys, Jonathan. Not just Hartsville there, but the Red Foxes are much improved from earlier on in the season. Certainly have grown up a lot. Riverside says, what's up, y'all? Lamar spoiled the perfect pick 'em in Knots we trust. Yeah, Lamar, man, that was a great win for Coach Boyd's bunch. Region title in year 1 for him. They had a great victory last week. And you're right, Dutch Fork, Tom Knotts, the boys win again to clinch region over Irmo. Noah says, what's up, guys? Hopefully Hillcrest make a far run in the playoffs. I like Hillcrest as a sleeper team for sure. They played some good football lately, Noah. They could be a team to look out for in 5A.
Let's jump into it, guys.
Well, let's start with our Kona games of the week. 5 of the biggest games across the state. And I'll just hand up, it was hard to get these games this week. We were ciphering through the list like, hey, what's a big game? Is there even 5? Do we do 3? What do we do here? But we got 5 we think we want to talk about here. And let's start in the 3A ranks, John. That's Marlboro County, 7-3, traveling to take on the 8-2 Swansea Tigers bunch. Marlboro County, a big win over Waccamaw, 52-14 last week. That was a game that was 14-all late second quarter, and they really turned it on late in second quarter and also the second half. They're averaging 27 points per game on offense, just 16 allowed on defense. Swansea hammered, got shut out by Newberry 43-0 last week. Averaging 35 points per game on offense, just 14 allowed on defense, John. I was really impressed with Marlboro County's bounce-back win. This is a Waccamaw team that's pretty solid. the Bulldogs had lost 2 tough games in a row to Dillon and Laurence. To come back a game you got to have to get that 3 seed in the region. They beat a pretty good Waccamaw team. That really impressed me, the way that Coach Johnson's bunch bounced back last week.
It was impressive seeing them do it offensively. This is a Marlboro County team that's been very good defensively all year, and then they really lit it up against, like you said, a good Waccamaw team last week. We talked last Tuesday, about teams building momentum going into the playoffs, and Marlboro County, they checked that box off as well as about anybody last Friday. We're getting that big win against Waccamaw. That's an impressive win over a good team. They do have to go on the road, though. It gets Swansea on Friday, a Swansea team that's had a good season. They lost that game to Newberry last week, as you said, and then lost a couple weeks ago to Silver Bluff. They've benefited from a little bit of a light schedule. We noted that earlier in the year. I think it's a pretty good football team, but it's tough to get matched up with this region because we know how good that top 3, Dillon, Laurence, and Marlboro County, are in that region. I like Marlboro County to win this game, I think, because of their defense. I think the Swansea offense, I don't think they're going to be good enough to win this game against the Bulldogs, even at home. I think Marlboro County wins this one, maybe a little bit on the lower scoring side, but might see the Bulldogs roll it up 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, quarterback Trey Blakeney last week for Marlboro County, 12 for 17, 283, 3 touchdowns. Running back Troy Haley, 17 for 163, 2 more touchdowns. Receiver weapons, you got Tremaine Ashford, had 6 for 73, and then LeBryce Purvis, 2 catches, 165, 2 touchdowns. That's an average of 82.5 yards per catch there, John. Big game for Purvis last week. Leach also had 2 TD catches for the Bulldogs. Defensively, they're led by their D-line. They're big and they're active. We talked about those guys all year long. Jaden Ash, 6 tackles last week. Caden Walton, and then P.J. Williams, 10 tackles, 3 TFLs for Coach Johnson's bunch. Linebacker Myjay McCoy, 12 tackles, a TFL. And then Jamori Williams, 11 tackles, 3 TFLs. Offensively, kind of an odd year for them. Started out in some wing T stuff, kind of moved away from that. They're really athletic on offense, but I don't know if they really got an identity. Obviously, you put up 50 points last week. You feel like they figured something out. So they might be clicking at the right time there. The Bulldogs might be. On the Swansea side, quarterback Kendall Wright, 11 for 18 last week. But really, they want to run the football. They average 217 per game on the ground behind Dante Caldwell. Offensive lineman Charlie Moody is at force up front for them. Defensively, their linebacker crew of Jerel Wine, William Gettis, and P.J. Larry really lead that group for Coach Fox there. Defensive lineman Nick Riley is a good player, along with Brian Ziegler and DeAndre Caldwell on that back end. You know, I mentioned how impressed I am with Marlboro County and the way they bounced back this week. And I think that's a key to kind of get some momentum going into the playoffs, like you said, John. And I think they certainly have it. On the Swansea side, you know, that offense that they run with that kind of run-heavy, kind of a odd mix there can certainly do some things in the run game, could kind of, you know, throw off Marlboro County. They're going to be disciplined for sure. But I think that Marlboro County defensive line is just too big and strong, too fast. I think they're going to eat them up. I think the Bulldogs win this game up front. I think that's why they win the ball game. I think Marlboro County goes on the road, beats a Swansea team that is good but not great. I think Coach Johnson's bunch could be a sleeper in 3A. I like them to win this football game on the road. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on Marlboro County at Swansea?
Yeah, I got to agree with that sentiment. Like, I love the way that Marlboro County is coming into this game, and equally do not like the way that Swansea's entering this game after last week. I know it's a new season, but that's tough coming off that shutout performance there. I think Marlboro County wins this comfortably by a few scores. We're talking about it and doing the analysis here. You know, Swansea's trying to do offensively what Marlboro County stops defensively the best, you know, running into that defensive front. So give me Marlboro County in this one. Should be a good environment. Obviously, playoffs everywhere should be great environments, but I like Marlboro County, you know, comfortably in this football game.
Any comments from the chat? Brandon says he'll take Marlboro County 31-14. Swansea 8-2, a bit deceptive. Yeah, they haven't played the toughest schedule, like we said there for sure. Zach says Marlboro County big. Scott says Marlboro County big time.
Yeah, I think most people agree that Marlboro County is probably going to win this game again. But I like what Swansea's doing, what they're building there. I mean, you know,
this
good
is 2 years
program.
They've had a really good season. You got 8 wins this year. I think they were around that mark 7 or 8 last year as well, I believe, for Coach Fox in year 1. So certainly building that program heading in the right direction, it feels like.
This is a Swansea program. It's got great history as well, too. I mean, go back to the '90s, winning state titles there. So I think they're heading in the right direction. I think it's just a tough draw. Sometimes you get it first round of the playoffs, and they got a tough one. But let's go to the next game, guys.
Our second calling a game of the week, a 4A matchup, John. Wilson, the 6-4 Tigers, traveling to take on the 7-3 May River Sharks. Wilson sneaks out a 28-26 win over Darlington last week. They're averaging 21 on the season, giving up 21 on the season per game. Quarterback Tristan Howard had 3 touchdown passes. A kid to watch, freshman Zaire Lyde, has really stepped up the last few weeks. Had an injury at the running back spot. He has came on and played great for them, had a touchdown run. Zachariah Butler, also a touchdown run for the Tigers. Caden Bethea, touchdown catch. Devon Bowman had a TD and a pick in that ball game. Their defense caused a lot of turnovers, and that was a big part of why they won that game over the Falcons. On the May River side, a tough 28-21 loss to Bluffton, averaging 28 on offense, 16 on defense. They want to run some more. A team that's been kind of banged up, had some injuries. Not sure who's back, who's not, but they've really missed some key pieces down the stretch for them. But Sean Mitchell's still there, 24 carries for 139, 2 touchdowns. Justin Head, Tony Cooper, also weapons. Defensively, Michael Poole, 12 tackles. Devin Ryan, 9 tackles at TFL. Braden Harris, Xavier Plight, Charlie Crace, all players and standout players on defense for head coach Richard Bonneville there. What do you like in this matchup? Two teams, and probably one of the few matchups we'll see that has two teams with a winning record here in round one.
Yeah, that's wild how that sets up, right? I think really this game, I think it sets up a lot very similar to the Marlboro County Swansea game. I think you've got a team in Wilson where they're a very good team, but I think offensively, I don't think they're good enough to win this game against May River. They started out the season really strong. I wanted to see a little bit more out of them in region play than what they did. But this May River team, again, this is a May River team that's coming out of a region that's pretty doggone good. Really kind of came out of nowhere this year. You got, Bluffton's a really talented group. Bishop England had a really good season. Hilton Head, I think, is one of the best teams in 4A. This is a tough region. They really cut their teeth, and they play pretty good defense. I think this May River team, I think they win this game with their defense. I don't know that Wilson can score enough to win this ball game. Quite a trip going down to May River as well. I like May River in this one. I think they're a really good football team, and I think May River's a team. I'm not going to say they're a sleeper necessarily in 4A, but I think for people that don't know much about this program, don't know much about this team, I think they're going to get some respect here in the playoffs because I think they're going to win a couple games.
And they're a team, too, with that style of offense that they run for Coach Bonneville. They're very hard to prepare for just 1 week. Like, you don't see a lot of that kind of wing T type style, especially with the higher classifications anymore. So Wilson, I don't know, what they've had prep work throughout the season on something like this. So tough turnaround there for just a quick 6-day, 7-day kind of get ready period there for the Tigers. My worry always, John, is something that we talked about the last couple of years with that. I think it's Region 6 down there in 4A with Bluffton and Hilton Head Island, those guys. You worry, like, are they that good, or do they just kind of cannibalize each other? Because we don't see them play a ton of teams outside of that area just because of travel, reasons, really. So we say that, Bishop England wins 7 games and May River wins 7 games and, Bluffton wins 6 or 7, whatever. And Hilton Head's got 8 or 9, but do they really beat anybody or just beat each other? We don't really know. And that's what kind of worries you going into the playoffs at a game like this. But I think you're right. I think just that travel down to May River is tough, man. And I think that May River defense is a little bit underrated. I like what they're doing there on the Sharks on that side of the football. I think Wilson probably maybe a year away from a really good run. It feels like they really built something there. Head coach Brian Wilson has done a fantastic job in year 1. That was a Tiger program that was really struggling. I don't know how many games they won last year. They may have won, 1 or 2. They were not very good. So to see them win 6 this year, including some big wins. They beat a Dillon team. They beat a Crestwood team. They beat Darlington last week. Yeah, they went 1-9 last year. So what he has done in his first year there, really, really impressive. But I think May River at home, that rushing attack, the kind of way they like to play, I think leans in their favor here in round 1. Jerel, what do you like in this one? What's the chat saying? The one thing that I do want to mention that head coach Brian Wilson is a defensive guy. So he may have a good plan for this wing T. I don't know, but it's just hard to rep that in 1 week, I feel like.
You gotta be very disciplined.
You guys making it a trip, making it a lot of that road trip. It's a straight shot down 95. What we talking about here, man? It's easy road trip for these guys. I'm going against the grain. I think Wilson wins this ball game. I think they're battle tested. They played in a difficult region as well. I think every game they've pretty much been in has been close. I think they had a tough one against South Florence, but who hasn't had a tough one against South Florence? So had some really great wins in our region. I like what Coach Wilson's here. I love Coach Bonneville. He's one of the best. But yeah, I like what Coach Wilson's here. I like them to go on the road and have a moderate upset here. I'm going to pick Wilson in this game.
But you're the biggest Region 6 4A pumper we got, Jerel.
I love Region 6 4A, but I like this Wilson bunch. I was just looking through their schedule. I think they played a difficult schedule. They've been largely competitive in that. Like you mentioned, it being a defense. I think it's going to be an ugly game, though. I think that's what it is, too. I think that we might look up. This one might be like a 17-16 or, 17-14 type game. So I think that's going to side with the road team there, and I think they got a shot at it.
Should be a good one. Scott said he's taking Wilson over May River as well. He's going with you there, Jerel. Zach says he can play defense better than what Clemson guys did Saturday. You got a shot to win anyway. Yeah, giving up 40-plus at home is not a good look, Zach. You're right about that.
46, always tough.
Chris says, what's up? Good seeing you, Chris. Appreciate you joining us, buddy. As always, glad to have you in here. Wolfman says, how we doing? Two straight weeks of Valley hate. Jack says we packed on Friday. Yeah, we get North Augusta at Millen Valley last week. Now we got Millen Valley at North Augusta this week. Funny how that shakes out there. Kevron says, good evening. Good to see you, Kevron. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for joining us. Woodman says 4A is really stacked, especially lower state. 4A lower state is going to be a lot of fun. I agree with you there. Terrence says, what's up, guys? Hampton County in the house. Appreciate you, Terrence. Thank you for joining.
Let's go to the next one, guys. This was fun.
Our third Kona game, Luke, a game that really intrigues me here, John. It's like you got the battle of two masterminds. You got Nation 4, led by head coach Jake Bentley, the offensive stud. His Falcons at 4-6, traveling to Serene Stadium, taking on the 6-4 Greenville Red Raiders, led by head coach Scoot Watson, the defensive guru. Going to be a fun matchup, kind of a battle of wills there, a really good chess match. What do you like in this game here?
I don't like that I have to make a pick is what I don't like. I think this is going to be a really competitive game. I think this is going to be one of the closer games of the week this week. And a lot of it is because there's some inconsistency with both of these programs. Nation Ford, I didn't expect a lot of them this year. They're not perennially a great program. They're still relatively new. Coach Bentley getting into his first year coaching. And they started out pretty good. I watched them play against Indianland earlier this year, a really good Indianland team. They were very competitive, had a chance to win that game. But they've lost 5 of their last 6, and they've been close games against good teams. They've been very competitive outside of that Northwestern game. But again, not many people have been competitive with them. They're going to be in this ballgame. It's going to be a close game. I'm just not – I don't know if I trust Nation Ford to get a win, a close game, because they've been on the losing side so much lately in close games. They've been there and just haven't been able to win it. And you look at the Red Raiders, they're younger. You expect them to be a little bit inconsistent, and they have been. 2 weeks ago, they just get stomped by Hillcrest. And then last week, TL Hand needs a little bit of a miracle.
Yeah.
To win the game by 3 at the end of the game. They've got talent. They've got talent. I think if the Greenville defense can put a little bit of a cap on this Nation Ford offense, they've got a really good chance to win. But I don't know. I don't know, because that's a good Nation Ford offense right there. And obviously they're well coached. I think for me, it's going to be whoever gets off to the better start in this game. I think whoever wins the first quarter is going to go on and win the game. I think if Nation Ford, if they can go out and, put up 14 points in that first quarter, I think they got a really good chance at winning the game. If we go to the second quarter and there's no score or Greenville's up 7-0, I think Greenville's got a really good chance to win the game if it's a low scoring defensive ball game. But I'm excited about this one. I think this will be a really fun game to watch. It'll be real competitive, and it could be a 35-31 game. It could be a 17-10 game. I just don't know. We'll see. We'll see who shows up.
Nation Ford, a tough loss, 42-35 to Fort Mill last week, averaging 28 on offense, 32 on defense. Quarterback Kason Canup last week, John, 22 for 31, 447, 4 touchdowns. 67 rush yards, another touchdown, and you still lose the game. That's really tough to think about there. Running back Malachi Drayton, you got a lot of weapons, including Jaden Scott, 9 catches for 214, 3 touchdowns. Asher Beck and Jamari Gore also out wide. Defensively, McLeod, 18 tackles. Sam Cook, 17 tackles. Smiley, 14. Valentine, 14. Reagan, 10. But defensively, they have struggled all year. They got 42 points to a Fort Mill team last week that's pretty limited offensively there, including 239 on the ground to the Yellow Jackets. On the Greenville side, you mentioned a 27-24 loss to TL Hanna, averaging 22 points on offense, 20 allowed on defense. Quarterback Keyshawn Farrow, 9 for 15, 159, 2 touchdowns. Also ran it 13 times for 90 more yards. You got a bunch of weapons out wide with Arky Shell, Jaden Rice, Jaquan Haygood, DeAndre Dogan, and West Brunson. Defensively, Kason Carson, 15 tackles. Jamarion McKinney, 10 tackles. Jemiah Jones, 11 tackles. CJ Williams, 10 tackles. Julian Renrick, 8. Larry Lucas, 8. And then Franklin Whitley, defensive end, committed to Florida State today. Hats off to him. The first-year player, the hooper, coming out to play some football, gets a ton of offers. Offered from everybody in the country, it felt like. Committed to the Seminoles today. Awesome to see that for Franklin Whitley. Really excited for him. And I mentioned, I love this matchup with the head coaches. 2 guys that really know what they're doing on that side of the football. Watson on defense, Bentley on offense. The worry for me for Greenville, John, is that you can't let a loss like last week beat you twice. In case you guys missed it, Greenville scores late to take a lead. They kick off to TL Hanna, and TL Hanna runs it back as time expires to win the football game. Like, that is just as heartbreaking as it can get. And I believe they actually kicked the first ball out of bounds. TL Hanna made them re-kick it, and then they take it to the house. Just a crazy ending there. You hope those kids can kind of get up off the deck and use that kind of as a rallying point there to win this game. But I think you're exactly right. Like, this is going to be who can, kind of enforce it. Well, I think it's low scoring. It favors Greenville. If it gets up in the points, I think it favors Nation Forward. I think Greenville at home. I think Coach Watson will have a good plan for that Nation Forward offense. Then I just don't trust their Nation Forward defense to stop Greenville. Greenville doesn't have the best offense, but I don't think the Falcons can really stop them enough to win the game. So I like Greenville at home, but I think it should be a fun matchup. 2 really, really good guys going at it. Jerel, what do you like in this one? What's the chat saying about this 5A matchup?
I don't like that I have to pick it. I mean, I don't know where to go with this. I mean, it's a good story because it's 2 teams, in the playoffs after having down years last year, finding their way. So they're getting rewarded for, some good play. Obviously, they've both just stumbled down the stretch. That's what makes this game hard for me. I mean, John mentioned Nation Forward's lost 5 of 6. I think Greenville's lost 3 of 4.
Yep.
Both of their losing ways kind of started with buzzsaw losses. I mean, Greenville lost to Greenwood bad, and then Nation Forward had to play Northwestern, I think, to open up region play, which is tough. I mean, so it's
we got a text speed limit on the board there now.
Yeah, for sure. And then I really, that's a good point you made, Kevin, is like, what is Greenville's mental as a team after a soul-crushing loss to, TL Hanna, who is a very, very good football team? That game you feel like you had won. Where are they at this week? Were they able to get over it and get up again for the playoffs? I'm taking the Red Raiders simply because they're at home. They've been there before. Name recognition. This is a program that's used to winning, and I just have a little bit more trust in them historically. So this one's a tough one. But man, what a difficult way, to end your season. Honestly, for both these programs.
Yeah, going to be an interesting game on Friday. Anything from the chat on that one? Scott says Red Raiders. Chris says Greenville because they're at home. Hope they learn their lesson to squib it. Yeah, that was a tough way to end it there. Brandon's taking Greenville by 7. Chris and Jake will do good things down there. They won't let him work his program. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen them turning around or take a nice step forward here in year 1. So I have full confidence that he will do a good job there. Greenville 24-17 says Travis. Wolfman's got 18-17 Greenville. Brandon says could have Greenville Hanna rematch for round 2. I saw that. And I bet the Red Raiders want that game again. I bet they did.
Most definitely. But yeah, that's all for that one. Should be a tight one. I think it'll be a really fun game to keep up with. But let's go to the next one, guys.
Our 4th Kona game of the week, another 5A matchup. The 5-5 Fort Mill Yellow Jackets taking on the 5-5 Catawba Ridge Copperheads. These teams played back in week 4. Catawba Ridge won 13-10 in a squeaker, John. Fort Mill, we just mentioned it, the big win over Nation Forward, 42-35 last week, averaging 30 points on offense, 19 allowed on defense. Quarterback Quinn Kelly, 13 for 20, 181, 3 touchdowns. Running back Broden Mitchison, 42 for 225, 3 TDs. Wideouts Terrell, DeWolf, and Dewey all caught touchdown passes. Defensively, Joseph Dewey, 10 tackles. Mason Burt, 9 tackles. Henry Crocker, 7 tackles. Gray Patterson, also a good player for them. Really good kicker as well in Noah Hardy. On the Catawba Ridge side, an overtime win over Clover, 22-21. They score in overtime. They go for 2, and they get it, John. Hats off to Coach Lindak and that bunch, having some guts there. Averaging 19 points per game on offense, 24 allowed on defense. They did have a quarterback injury last week. Brady Compton went out of the game. Not sure his status. Will Griggs had to come in for him. Running back Boston Halpin, 23 for 127, 3 touchdowns. Receiver Calvin Rocheleau is a weapon for them. Defensively, everybody knows Joshua Dobson, the big 5-star recruit for next year, top 5 recruit in the country, leads that group. He'll also play some receiver there for the Copperheads. This is going to be an interesting matchup. 2 really good defenses, as you could see from a 13-10 game last week, John. Last time they played. Do you foresee something this low scoring again, maybe a few more points? What do you think about round 2 with these guys getting after it?
I don't know if I see anything that leads me to believe that it's going to be much different than that first game. I think it's going to be another pretty tight game and pretty defensively minded ball game. You know, I'm going with the home team again. I'm going to go with Catawba Ridge at home. If this game is in Fort Mill, I'd go with Fort Mill. I think Fort Mill's a pretty good team, but they have both suffered the same affliction here in region play, where they're playing competitive, close games, and they're just not finding ways to win the ball game. Typically, both of them win close games last week, but before that, Fort Mill had lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. And Catawba Ridge, after they won that Fort Mill game, they lost 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. So I mean, it's they've had a hard time winning these close games. They've had a hard time winning games. With that, I'm gonna side with the home team and Dobson. You know, he's the better athlete on the field. I think Catawba Ridge finds a way to win this game. Would not be surprised at all if Fort Mill wins this ball game either. I think they're better than what they've played here down the stretch. I think they're pretty quality teams with, not subpar, but 500 records. Yeah. But they've had a tough schedule, both of them. It's a tough region to play in. I think it'll be a fun game to be at if you like defense. And, these are 2 teams. Whoever won, and I don't know who they match up with in the second round, but not going to be a fun game in the second round because they're probably going to play you tough.
Yeah. And both teams as well have really good special teams units, good kickers. I mentioned Hardy for Fort Mill. I think he made a 50-plus yarder earlier on this year, if I remember correctly. I think he's done some really good things there for Coach McNeely's bunch. And I do want to shout them out. Fort Mill last week, that was their first win over Nation Ford in a decade. So really cool to see what he has done. That's been a group that has, hung their hat on defense this year, played a lot of teams tough. They've really improved, it feels like. But I'm with you, John. Catawba Ridge at home. I do worry about the status of Compton at quarterback. If he's out, maybe you get a full week of practice for Griggs. Maybe he looks a little bit better than he did last week. And obviously you got the running game there with Halpin. You got, Dobson and Rocheleau. You can do some stuff with that wide. I think Catawba Ridge at home, though. I think I like those guys. And maybe it's where you do some, some wildcat with Dobson, do something to kind of get him involved a little more because the quarterback is shaky. But I think they win this game. Should be a tight one. I'm thinking similar, maybe 17-16, 17-14, a low scoring affair like last go around, but should be a good one over there in the Fort Mill area between, I guess, these guys are going to be pretty good rivals as well, you would think. So should be a good one to see them get after it. But Jerel, what do you like in this one? What's the chat saying about this Catawba Ridge Fort Mill game?
Yeah, you hit it. I mean, Chris is saying it. Yeah, it's got to be a rivalry type game in that area. Should be a tight one again. It's a coin flip. This is the same way. I'm going to go with you guys. I'm just going Catawba Ridge because they're at home. I think they're very evenly matched. Obviously, we've seen this game before, and it was a 3-point game. So, I mean, like the Copperheads, again, I'm excited about, the one good thing I do like about first round is like the stories that you see of teams that have not been successful, getting an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and things like that. That's such a boost, for your program, especially when you're trying to build something like that mental hurdle of making the playoffs. And, you may not be a championship contender, but heck, if you get to play another week of football in high school, that's a blessing. So really cool to see. I like Catawba Ridge here, but I think that's a consensus for most people.
Yeah, Scott's taking Catawba Ridge as well.
Winner has to go to District 3 next Friday. So
yeah,
there's that.
Maybe make it
enjoy that first round, boys.
Yeah, get 2 more weeks.
Leave it all out on the field.
That's right. 2 more weeks of football. So yeah, should be a lot of fun. But yeah, let's go to the next one, guys.
Our 5th Kona game of the week, our SCISA game of the week. Porter-Gaud, the Cyclones at 4-6, traveling to take on the 6-4 Laurence Manning Swamp Cats. John, fun fact, we saw this game last week, and Laurence Manning hit a last-second walk-off field goal to win 22-21 over Porter-Gaud. So just a wild game there. The Cyclones averaging 28 on offense, 17 on defense. Scott Tibbles at quarterback had a touchdown pass and run last week. Running back Amir Chisholm, 18 for 233 and a touchdown. Wilson Yarborough, a touchdown catch. Defensively, Huck Nevin, 11 tackles, a TFL. Allen Chisholm, 9 tackles. And Hunt Barber, 6 tackles and a TFL. On the Laurence Manning side, averaging 26 points per game on offense, 21 allowed on defense. You got quarterback Granger Powell, Pearson Gamble at running back. Receivers, Scoop Dennis, Asher Sanders, and Zy Dennis, and Rob Briggs. Last week did have a big kickoff return in that game. This is a big part of why they won. So special teams was a big part of that tight game there against Porter-Gaud. You know, it's tough to beat a good team twice, but especially 2 weeks in a row. But you do get them at home. I don't know what to make. It's just a really, really weird scenario here in this game, John.
Yeah. This is you know, if I'm on the winning side, if I'm Laurence Manning, I want to play anybody other than Porter-Gaud this week. You know, because obviously Porter-Gaud, they want that revenge. They want to run it back. You know, they know they're good enough to win. They're no good enough to win this game. It's a tough game here. I think they get revenge. I think they do it. I think Porter-Gaud finds a way to win this game. I think it'll be a great game, close game. I think this time they find a way to win.
In that Porter-Gaud bunch, you know, I was pretty high on the there. I knew they had, you know, new head coach, Coach Neighbors coming in, had some young pieces, but they had a really good defensive showing early on. Lost to Hammond by 7, lost, I think, Savannah Country Day by 7. I've kind of struggled a little bit here down the stretch, but played some good football last week. I thought, you know, like I said, you know, they had the lead in that game to the last second there. Really could have won that one. On the LMA side, you know, they've been kind of up and down. Head coach Jimmy Noonan, year 1 for them. I think them being at home helps a ton. They've got a really good home field advantage there. I think Laurence Manning at home wins this game, but I'm thinking a close one again like last week, coming down probably to the end as well. But, Jerel, who do you like, Swamp Cats, Cyclones, in a rematch over there in the SCISA ranks?
Just going to play the statistical odds. I mean, this is a 1-point game played last week. You got to go Porter-Gaud here, right? Just playing that. You know, you got to think it's a coin flip again. So I'm going with them in this one. Hopefully we get another one like we did last week. I mean, just coming down to the wire, 1-point game. So I think 2 teams, obviously, they're evenly matched. So should be a lot of fun, but I'm going Cyclones here.
I like that. Any comments from the chat before we wrap up our Kona games of the week?
Scott's got the revenge.
Yeah, Scott's going with you. Porter-Gaud flipping it here for the victory this week.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Wolfman, same. Yeah, a lot of these games. Yep. It's either going to be you'll see a lot of games this week, next week that have played either in, you know, maybe in the last few weeks.
That would be great.
Yeah, flip the score a little bit there. I love that. But once again, our Kona games of the week, 5 of the biggest games in the state. We had Marlboro County at Swansea, Wilson at May River, Nation Ford at Greenville, Fort Mill at Catawba Ridge, and Porter-Gaud at Laurence Manning. If you missed any of those guys, you can go back and check them out. Once the show is over, they'll live forever on Facebook and YouTube. Go check out those in-depth breakdowns there. Jerel, let's have some friends of the program. When we come back, guys, we're going to go through the rest of the statewide slate, give some upset picks, some sleepers, some favorites, along with how many teams we think can win state in each class. Go through that as well. Hope you guys did your homework in that one. But Jerel, shout out friends of the program, then we'll come back and go through the rest of the slate.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopaedic and Neurosurgical Associates, Kona, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to kona.care to learn more.
All right, John, let's start with the 5A Division I slate. Jerel, do you want me to pop them on the screen? Do you want to pop them on the screen, John? Oh, there we go, Jerel. Perfect. let's read through the bracket. Then we'll kind of go through some of the games we want to talk. Or I don't know, John, or do you want to stop as we go through? How do you want to do it? It's up to you.
Yeah. Let's stop as we go through.
Perfect. We will do that, and then we'll make some picks at the end for overall stuff.
All right. Yeah. We'll start at the top here. So we've got Malden hosting Boiling Springs. Winner gets to go to Dutch Fork.
I need to do some research. I don't know the last time Malden hosted a playoff game, but hats off to Coach Cook, what he has done. I think this is year 3 for him now, I believe, at Malden. They've been really, trending upward. I think they got a chance to beat Boiling Springs. Like, I like that team. Thomason's a good player. Langston's a good player. I think the Mavericks are, really, growing up and playing school football here the last year or so.
I think they win the game.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There we
I
go.
thought Jerel had a comment. I didn't know. Maybe you did.
No, I was going to go ahead and just say I apologize to Dutch Fork and their fans for picking it against him. Let me go ahead and do this. Apparently, I am moonlighting as a motivational speaker, so I will never pick against Tom Knotts and his bunch again. So let me go ahead and get that out of the way. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So whatever team wins this matchup on Friday, when it comes to next week, I will be picking against you. So go ahead and understand that.
I think we can all go hand up. We were all wrong last week about that one. And I appreciate the guys at Dutch Fork and everybody else for calling us out on it. I love that stuff, man. That is great.
So much fun.
All I ask, if you're going to clip us, if you're going to put us in a video, just tag us. That's all I ask for. Just tag us. We appreciate that. We got no problem. Talked to some folks after the game who gave us a hard time, too. That was great talking to some family members of some players there. That was really cool to get to talk to, I think, Victoria and Rachel about that. That was great. So, hats off to everybody at Dutch Fork, man. Great win last week, and appreciate them for tuning into the program and helping support us, because they've always done that. We really appreciate that for sure.
And we love that stuff too. So,
we're not mad about it. We love it.
It's so much fun. So wanted to say that. And big respect to Dutch Fork. They clipped that. They put that stuff out on Wednesday. So if you're gonna do it, do it before the game on Friday. I love that stuff.
Perfect.
Moving on down, we got Rock Hill hosting Spring Valley. That winner will travel to Nixon Field to take on Burns. I think Rock Hill should win this game. But I tell you what, if Rock Hill takes care of Spring Valley, I think you have a pretty good ball game on your hands at Nixon next week.
The Bearcats have been a sneaky team for Coach Bullware here in year 1 for him. Their offense has had some really nice showings here and there. I think you're right. I think they could certainly be a handful for the Rebels.
Then we'll have Spartanburg hosting JL Man. Winner will travel to Northeast Columbia to take on Ridgeview next week. Spartanburg should win this game. That's a good matchup. You get Spartanburg Ridgeview next week. That's a pretty good matchup. I like Ridgeview. I think they're the better team in that matchup. But hey, if we get there next week, we'll go in a little more in depth on that. And then we'll have Clover hosting Blythewood. Winner of that game traveling to Dorman to close out the upper state slate.
Clover, some injury problems last week, played without quarterback Aaron Sheely and both running backs Grady Stone and Jaytwan Kroom. Not sure their status. If they're missing both those guys, going to be tough to win. I know they played tough. They lost, like I said, on that 2-point conversion to Catawba Ridge last week, but you need your key guys when the playoffs roll around. So not sure their status there, but that's a big piece for Coach Woolbright's group.
And then flipping over to lower state, I love this lower state bracket. This is going to be a lot of fun. First game, you have Fort Dorchester hosting Lexington. Winner goes to Carolina Forest. I don't know who wins the Fort Dorchester-Lexington game, but I feel pretty good about Carolina Forest. Then we see Somerville hosting West Ashley. Winner of that game will travel to Ashley Ridge. That's going to be most likely a Somerville-Ashley Ridge rematch. That's going to be awesome. Then we have Wando traveling to James Island. That winner will go to Sumter. I would love to see a James Island-Sumter matchup. That will be a really, really good ball game right there if that happens. And then River Bluff hosting Cane Bay. Winner of that game travels to Stratford.
In 5A Division I, I feel like, the round 1, like as we'll say for most of the night, there's not a lot of great games here. They're just not. They really not much gets me excited. Like I think Clover Blythewood might be okay. Malden Bowling Springs could be okay, but just not a lot to really get you pumped up here. It doesn't feel like in this first round matchup.
No, it's the second round games that look really good. And this is I think for this bracket, especially when you have the buys, it's, hey, your home teams, can you take care of business this week? Don't incredibly stub your toe and lose a game you shouldn't lose. And, no disrespect to the 7-10 and the 8-9 games, but more than likely you got 2 more weeks of football if you win that game, because you're playing a really good number 1 or a really good number 2 next week.
Yeah. So who do you guys like? Who are some favorites? Who are some sleepers? Maybe a team you like to make a run here in 5A Division I. John or Jerel, feel free to pop on the screen too if you want to leave this, go this way, whatever y'all want to do. I don't care either way. I'll let y'all direct that. But who do you guys like? What are some thoughts here on the 5A Division I bracket as a whole as we roll into the playoffs?
For me, I'm like John. I really like the lower state bracket a lot more. I think it's a lot more competitive, especially with the seeding, because you see where Ashley Ridge, gets that bye. So you see Somerville playing early, and then also Stratford. You kind of with them getting through as well, seeing how they kind of shape up going forward. So I think it's very interesting in the lower state. I think there's just going to be so much better matchups, especially in round 2 going forward. Whereas I don't think we'll see really, some really great matchups in the upper state until you start getting third round and beyond.
Yeah, and I think, we mentioned it, the upper state, the favorite is Dutch Fork, and I don't know who the second favorite is. But, I think in the lower state, we got a bunch of teams where it's like, hey, I think Sumter's pretty good. I think Stratford's pretty good. I think Somerville's pretty good. Ashley Ridge obviously is talent. Carolina Forest, it's a little more wide open down there, it feels like, because thinking that, you look at the upper state bracket, Dutch Fork really good. But after that, a lot of inconsistency. Burns and Spartanburg both been kind of up and down. Ridgeview started off slow, got hot, took the tough loss to Sumter. Dorman just kind of laying in the weeds there. They're a team that I think is really rock solid, very disciplined, can run the football, stuff that plays well in the playoffs, running it and playing defense. But I worry if they get against a team that, can they score enough against a good defense? So what worries me about that Cavaliers program.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, again, this is all speculating. I don't know if Ridgeview plays a good game. I don't know that Dorman can beat a Ridgeview team that plays their best game. And then, the winner of that game, Dorman Ridgeview, we've already saw the Ridgeview Dutch Fork game, and it was a great game.
Yeah.
Dutch Fork probably will tell you they didn't play their best game. They played a pretty doggone good game on Friday, and they needed it. This is when Dutch Fork gets hot. I don't know. I don't have a ton of confidence in that upper state bracket that someone can take down Dutch Fork if they play, especially if they play like they did Friday and how we expect them to play in the playoffs. The lower state, complete 180. There are 6 teams that I could see winning lower state.
Yeah.
And I think they're all good. My sleeper in all of it, I'm going to go, and this is, and you can call me dumb, you can laugh at me. I'm saying Carolina Forest. I know they're the one, but I think when people look at the lower state, they go Somerville, Sumter, maybe James Island. I don't know that Carolina Forest on a lot of people's radar to go to Orangeburg. I think they're in a really good position.
I got to disagree with you, John. I feel like we've done that before. And until they do it in the playoffs, I think I got to see it. So I am not taking the candy on Carolina Forest until I actually see it. I think the bracket sets up well for them. But yeah, I don't know.
I love candy
right there.
We've seen them win some first round, second round games. And what I love about this too, if they get to a round 3 matchup against Ashley Ridge, they beat them by 2 scores earlier on in the year. So they've seen that Swamp Fox program. Their one loss, a 30-point loss to Irmo for Carolina Forest. Don't love the look of that. But outside of that, they played really good football. So I think they are a solid team. An interesting pod to me down here, and it's I think Stratford got a really good draw. I think getting that 2 seed was big for them. Obviously, you avoid James Island in round 2. But if you're Stratford, potential Cane Bay rematch, and that's a team that gives you fits. I don't know why. Cane Bay beat them last year. I think Cane Bay went 0-7 to 3-7 and won the region. Cane Bay, I think, played them to a point this year. That's a team that if they can get by River Bluff, it just tends to give the Knights fit. So that worries me a little bit there for Stratford. But I think if they can get past that team, I think they match up well. They got a good shot to beat, I think, James Island or Sumter in that third round game. That would be a great matchup. You know, when you play a team like Sumter, we know they can score points. So, you know, with Richardson and Shannon and Pinckney there, what Davis and McGowan can do on offense for the Knights, I think keeps him in that football game. And the same thing, if you play James Island, that tough defense, having those, you know, that's a Division I quarterback there and a really good running back in those two. I think they've got a chance to beat either one of those teams in round 3 if they meet up with them in the lower state, it looks like.
Yeah, I like the way that bracket shakes out for Stratford for sure, especially with that game. If you get James Island, you know, matching up against Sumter, you got to think that's going to be a slugfest the week before.
Yeah.
So whoever comes out of that heavyweight matchup is going to be beat up a little bit. So that bodes well for Stratford. But for the sake of keeping the program going, I mean, I guess we're going to, you know, go to the next segment. And
I got one comment here. One comment I'm going to ask you guys.
Okay.
There's 2 teams that I'm eyeing here that I think have enough talent to make really good runs in the upper state. They've just been so inconsistent. I don't know what to think. Like, do y'all think a team like Spartanburg or Burns can do some really good things? Yeah, because Spartanburg, they had so many injuries. Burke was out early on. Lynch has been out lately. If they get healthy, I think they have some pieces to make a run. And then Burns, with what they've got in the backfield with Segar and Fuller, you know, Harris out wide, so many weapons. Could one of those two get hot? You know, do you see that coming out of one of those Region 2 teams there in 5A?
I think they could upset somebody. I don't know if they do it 2 weeks in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think they've both been so inconsistent. But when you have dynamic players in the backfield, especially in the playoffs, and you get enough defense, I mean, we've seen Trey Segura go off. We've seen Trent Lynch just go off in these games where they rush for 300 yards and 3+ touchdowns. So anything's possible. I just think the inconsistencies and, you know, what we've seen. So I think at this point you are kind of what you are, and I just don't see it changing in the playoffs.
I like it. Yeah, Jerel, you teased it there. Let's do America's favorite game, guys. At this point right now, how many teams in 5A Division I can win the state championship? I hope you guys listening at home brought your numbers as well. Who wants to go first? John, you, Jerel, me. Who wants to shout out their number of how many temes they think can win state? Jerel's raising his hand. Who you going, Jerel?
No, I'm telling you.
Jerel's going for one team. Okay. You don't got to say it. We want to keep some, you know, some secrecy here, but Jerel's got one team can win the state title in 5A Division I. That is a bold proclamation, sir.
I'm going 6.
John's going 6, and you know, I like that, John. As you guys know, I tend to go high on these.
Yes.
I've got 5 and 3 question marks.
So 8.
I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go 8. I'm going 8. Yeah. Yep. We're going 8. It's a 3 upper state, 5 lower state split for me. But I will tell you, majority of the teams in the question mark from the lower state. I just don't know what to make of a couple guys. Just the consistency issue, like you mentioned there, John or Jerel, and also there's a team in particular that I really like, but I just worry about their offense when it matters. So I'm gonna go between 5 and 8. I got 5 3 question marks. I'll take 8. I like that number for me.
Yeah, I think there's just so much with lower state. I think whoever comes out of lower state, it's obviously going to be tested. I think that playoffs is just going to be a lot of fun the entire time. And I think the upper state, I think we know who's going to come out of there. So that's just my opinion. I don't know.
Riverside's got one. I like it. It's
got a little emoji there.
Yeah, we know who he's picking. We got 10 from Chris. I like that.
I like Scott. He's just coming out and saying
Dutch Fort, no question.
Fair.
Make up my mind. I know, Zach, you know how I am, man. I like to think through these games. I do want to ask you guys about one team that we didn't really talk a lot about there, and they're in my question marks because they've been so actually rich. I don't know. Like their good is very, very good, as we saw when they just blew out Somerville. But when they don't play good, they can play really, really bad. I just don't know if they can put it together for 5 rounds in a row is what we're – I guess 4 rounds, so they got to bye. I just don't know what to make of that group there. For the
they're one of my 6.
Yeah.
They beat Somerville once. I think they can certainly beat Carolina Forest.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think James Island would be the toughest matchup for them in the lower state championship.
They just lost to by, I think, 6 or 7 2 weeks ago. So certainly,
but I mean, if you get through there, if you beat Somerville, man, you can beat anybody in the lower state. And then I'm not going to predict Orangeburg because I made a mistake last week. But if you get to Orangeburg, you got 48 minutes. And
For sure.
Ball bounces funny ways. You never know.
All right, guys, we got 5 more brackets. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's look down at 5A Division II now, John. Go through that classification.
Yeah, I am. Oh, give me a second here. Here we go. I need a moment. I screwed up.
I got it while you pull it up. So in Upper State, we've got one of our games of the week. Catawba Ridge hosting Fort Mill. Winner goes to Northwestern next week. We've got a rematch here. Eastside going to Gaffney. This is, I think, a 1-score game a few weeks back, guys. A really high-scoring game there. Winner of that goes to Greenwood. I don't see this game. I think it was like 42-36. It was pretty high-scoring last time. I don't see it being that high-scoring again, but I certainly think it could be a tight ball game. I think Eastside is much improved. Gaffney has been kind of up and down. Probably not the best Indian team that we have seen. Still have the talent there on defense, especially as we know. But that could be a sneaky good round 1 game. John, do you have your bracket? You want me to keep going?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good
Perfect.
now. So we've got Hillcrest hosting Riverside. Winner of that game travels to Indian Land. I like Hillcrest to win that game. Indian Land Hillcrest matchup would be fun. Good defense, good offense. Greenville, we talked about hosting Nation Ford. Winner of that game going to Anderson to play TL Hanna. On the lower state side of the bracket, we've got Lugoff Elgin hosting a playoff game for the first time in a while. Good for them. Hosting Socastee. Winner will have to go to W.C. Hawkins and play a very angry Irmo team. At least you get a week of them to cool off. Lucy Beckham will host North Myrtle Beach. Winner travels to the Bank to play White Knoll. West Florence hosting Conway. Winner will travel to Myrtle Beach. And then Westwood is at home against St. James. Winner of that game traveling to Berkeley. Kevin, I know I've gone off script here and said, let's talk about each game. Let's just go through the bracket and then we'll talk about what we want.
I'm fine with that. And I do think we've got some better matchups in Division II. Like I mentioned, the Gaffney Eastside game I think is a good one as well. Catawba Ridge, Fort Mill, and Greenville for one of our games of the week. Hillcrest Riverside could be a good one. Riverside's been a team that has not lived up to expectations this year. Just have not played great. They played a little better the last couple of weeks, so you'll see how that shakes out. Now, I do think lower state round 1 is not great. I don't see a lot happening there. I don't see any really upsets in that portion, it does look like to me.
No, and it's there's too many teams in the playoffs. I don't know. Somebody needs to say it. Soccee's 3-7. They don't belong in the playoffs. Conway struggle to win games. Don't belong in the playoffs. West Florence they're gonna blow out Conway. Lugoff Elgin, sure, great. You made the playoffs. They should beat Socastee. They got almost no chance to beat Irmo. It's tough, especially with 5A being split into 2 divisions. I know we've talked about this offline. To me, there's not enough teams, not enough schools to have 2 divisions, especially when you get to this. When you get to the playoffs and you're looking at the first round games going, oh boy. All right. But from an overall perspective, lower state looks pretty fun. Upper state looks fun too until you see Big Bad Northwestern at the top left corner though.
Yeah. Who are some guys you like as favorites? Who do you think can be a sleeper, maybe make a little run there? I think obviously all year long, we've had 1 and 2 in our poll, Northwestern Irmo. I think they have to be the 2 favorites. Outside of that, who do you guys like? Who can maybe make a little run here in 5A Division II?
My sleeper is White Knoll. I kind of wrote them off earlier in the year after Camden kind of dominated them early in the season. And White Knoll has turned the page. They've played really good football. They've gotten the bye. They play in a good division. They are a good region. They've been tested. I don't see them getting by Irmo, but I think they could be competitive, and hey, you get some turnovers, who knows what happens.
Yeah, that quarterback, Jais McKeever, has been great. The junior has stepped in doing a fantastic job. You got Geronimo as well as a great athlete for Coach Pelham there. They're a team that is, really built a winning culture the last few years. So I certainly like that pick there. As far as some sleepers for me, I think there's a couple teams in the upper state that could win a couple games. I mean, you think the winner of that Hillcrest Riverside game, if it's Hillcrest, they've got a chance against Indian Land. Indian Land kind of got exposed last week, it felt like there. Got hammered by Northwestern. And then obviously, if Greenville beats Nation Ford, they want to play Tillahanna again. Like, I think they've got a chance to win 2 games. And then obviously Gaffney, if they win, they've got a great history with Greenwood. Gaffney, I think, is the not as good as Greenwood this year, but you never count out the Indians in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, and the talent's there, and a lot of these teams have a lot of upside that didn't have great seasons or great ends to the season, but they got a lot of talent, a lot of upside.
Yeah, Lower State, I don't see a lot there. West Florence is a team that played Myrtle Beach, I think, to 4 points early in the year, so maybe they could get hot and win a couple games, it feels like. But I think it just feels like we're trending towards an Irmo Berkeley rematch. Not rematch, I guess, but Irmo Berkeley in the Lower State final. It just feels like, because I just don't know who else, unless that White Knoll team you mentioned there, John, gets it done. I just don't know. It feels like Lower State Division II is a little weak this year.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jerel,
heavy at the top.
Anything from you, Jerel? Lower State Division II or Upper State?
I think again, the sleepers, I think it's crazy to say Gaffney, just the season they've had. I think Gaffney's a sleeper, and then Hillcrest. I think Hillcrest, they can get hot. I think they can win a few games in the playoffs, but that's all I got for this one.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach is a team that's kind of interesting as well. They don't have like a great win this year. Really, like they lost to Sumter pretty handily, lost to Irmo pretty handily, lost to Carolina Forest pretty handily. But still, they win 7 games for Coach Wilson. I mean, that's a really good season there for the Seahawks. West Florence, they played them early on, beat them by 4 before West Florence really knew who they were. So I don't know if that's a good matchup for them if they meet up again. But I think Berkeley's in a really good spot down there. You get to avoid White Knoll, avoid Irmo potentially until that Lower State final. So I think Coach Lodge's group is in a really good spot down there, that Lower State number 2 seed. It feels like.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys, how many you got, Kevin? Count them up.
You want me to go first?
Let John go first while you tally up how many you got.
I got the sheet right here. I got the sheet.
I got 2, and I'm being generous. I'm not going to say generous, but it's I think it might be 1, but I'm going to say 2.
I got 2 and a possible, so I'm going to go 3. Evan's got 8.
No, I had 3 and 2 question marks. I'm going 4. One of them I feel okay about.
He's getting better, John. He's getting better.
I was hoping for double digits.
The problem for me here, I really like Greenwood. Love Greenwood. I hate that they're in that 4 seed instead of the 2 or the 3. Because I don't want them to have to play Northwestern until you have to. Is my worry. Like that's the thing. But you got an athlete like a Tristan Lewis at quarterback who can take over a game, can win you a game, can win you multiple games, can take you all the way to a state title, it feels like. I think Greenwood's a team we got to consider as well, of having a chance to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm worried about how dynamic they are. Tristan Lewis is great. But you got to measure everybody in the upper state, really everybody in 5A to Northwestern.
Yeah.
I don't like the way they match up against Northwestern.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, look at the upper state. We got 2 teams in there. I don't, obviously I don't know who you guys have on your list. So I'm going to say mine right now, but we've got 2 teams in there that have 1 loss that I don't think can win the whole thing. They got 1 loss in the season. And I don't have either one of them on my list. And that's Indian Land and Tillahanna. So it's a weird bracket up there, it feels like to me. But
yeah, for sure. No, I just got 2, and I think the 2 are obvious. The one I have it's really just Greenwood. I have Greenwood. I just love Tristan Lewis.
Yeah,
he's such a dynamic player, and you just think a guy like that can get hot, and they could win in the playoffs. That's my third.
Yeah, I mean, does a team? We talked up Indian Land so much last week and the athletes they've got, but then obviously you see what they did against Northwestern. It's hard to have them on the list. But then Tillahanna, maybe the way they play, maybe that gives somebody some problems. Maybe they get hot. I just don't know. But
I just don't know they're that good.
Yeah,
for sure. Let's go to 4A, guys.
Let's look down at the 4A slate now, John.
Yeah. So with 4A, looking at the upper state side of the bracket first, we've got Beaufort on the road against South Point. Emerald will travel to Fountain Inn. York goes to AC Flora. Lancaster on the road against Seneca. Blue Ridge travels to Wren. Pickens at Westside. Greer goes to Camden. Dreer is at Daniel. And then on the lower state side of the bracket, Darlington travels to South Florence. That's a rematch in that game. Lower Richland at Bishop England. Sorry, go ahead, Kev.
So that was on Thursday as well, South Florence, Darlington.
Yes, Thursday night game there. Yep. Lower Richland at Bishop England. Gilbert goes to Bluffton. Midland Valley at North Augusta. Crestwood will go to Hartsville. Brooklyn Casey at Gray. Wilson at May River, one of our Kona games of the week. And South Aiken travels to Hilton Head.
A couple decent games here. I think Fountain and Emerald, a region rematch there was a tight game the first time play. That could be a good one there. I also like Bishop England, Lower Richland. I think is really intriguing as well. Bishop England team that probably has not been quite as good as we thought they would be this year. Lower Richland probably exceeded their expectations. They're playing good for Coach Taylor there. I think that's a good matchup. Then Hartsville Crestwood as well. I think Hartsville won that game, 34-21 earlier on in the year. It should be a tight one there. Hartsville's really improved as they've gotten, really grown up there, it feels like. But interesting 4A bracket for sure. See, South Point should win it all, says Armani. I saw Jessica shout out Camden as well. South Point, Westside Upper State, says Roquez. John Jerel, what are you guys up? Let's see. A lot of comments here. South Point, Westside Upper State, South Florence, Gray, Lower State, says Brandon. John Jerel, what do you guys like here in this matchup or in this bracket, really in 4A? I do want to shout out. We mentioned Midland Valley, North Augusta. North Augusta won 42-29 last week on the road. Mike Doe, 300 plus, 3 touchdowns. Jeter, 2 picks for Midland Valley. You can't have that if you want to beat this North Augusta team. You play again at the Jacket's Nest this week. I don't like their chances. I think North Augusta wins again in that one. But who do you guys like, favorites, sleepers, and whatnot in the 4A bracket?
There's not a whole lot I like in the first round.
No. I mean, there's some decent games in round 1 of 4A, but not a lot. It feels like for sure.
Yeah, I think there's some stuff that can happen in the upper state. I don't know that anyone's going to be able to catch South Point. But also, I didn't know that anybody was going to beat up on Daniel like South Point did last year in the playoffs. Yeah. That was a game I was at, and that was very surprising. And that's not something I forget. We see these teams and we think, man, they're invincible. Everybody can get beat. In the lower state side of the bracket, I feel similar about South Florence, but I don't think we've talked enough about Gray this year.
And I want to mention,
they loom large.
Gray Collegiate was out of the playoffs last year. Had the eligibility issue, got, last minute, got kicked out. They were foaming at the mouth to get into the playoffs and play some football this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My biggest thing here is I feel like there's 2 teams, and obviously we know who those are in South Point and South Florence, who we think are really, really good in 4A. I have a lot of question marks, and I'm really interested to see in these first few weeks of the playoffs how good Hilton Head, Daniel, Gray, and North Augusta are. These are teams that have hovered in our top 5, all year round robin. I don't know how good those teams are. Obviously with Hilton Head, we don't get a lot that they're so far away. There's not as much coverage. Daniel seems like they've taken a step back, but here they are again as a 2 seed. So how far of a step back? Like you're mentioning, that storyline with Gray Collegiate is really interesting. And then North Augusta, I think Mike Doe has just been a stud this year. They have been pounding people, but you just got to think, are they poised to make another run? As that helmet is right over your right shoulder, staring at me. But those are the bigger storylines for me. Is those teams behind South Point and South Florence. How good are they?
Yeah, you look. I love some of these potential round 2 matchups. We could see a Wren Westside rematch in round 2. I know Wren would love another shot at those guys. Also, could see a potential Camden Daniel game round 2. Have those guys played any big games lately? I feel like they may know each other. I don't know.
Not in round 2, they haven't.
That's a big one. Then you look at the lower state, really intrigued by potential North Augusta Bluffton, and then also Hartsville Gray Collegiate. A Gray Collegiate team we like a lot, but Hartsville is always sneaky the way that they play. Coach Calabrese there. Some really good looking matchups there. I think I think, in the lower state part of the bracket. A team that I got to ask about, because I think this is the biggest discrepancy in 4A for us all year, is AC Flora. Like, we have not had them in our poll. Yep. They've lost one game. That's been to South Point. They beat a good Camden team last week. They're potentially set up to play South Point again in round 3. Do we think they get to that point? What do we think of that Falcon squad? I don't know what to make of them. I like them, but I feel like something's just not there. I don't know.
I think they get there. I think South Point's just that much better. I think AC Florida's really good football team. If being in the Midlands, sometimes those Midland schools flip-flop from upper and lower state. When I was in high school, we were with AC Florida. We were lower state for a couple years. You put them in that lower state bracket, and you got to think they could go pretty far in the lower state bracket, but I just don't think they've got enough to go 1-1 against South Point.
I also think it's a really bad matchup for them. Like they want to throw the football, and you're not going to throw it very much against South Point. Like, you're just not. Like, the way they lock you down on the back end and the pressure they can get up front, that is not the way to beat the Stallions. And that's what AC Flora wants to do. So it's just not a great matchup for him, it feels like, too.
I link Flora with, and I'm glad Justin brought this up, with Seneca. I know these are teams that Flora and Seneca is like, we think they're really, really good. We don't know if it's a product of competition or if they actually are really good. I think that is a great sleeper pick. I mean, Varner has just been fantastic for them this season. I cannot believe, we'll talk, I guess, Mr. Football, this is going to be a 3-hour show as well, but I can't believe with the season that he's had that he didn't get consideration for that. But that's another squad. And then people are also mentioning it in the chat, Westside. This is a team that's really starting to catch fire, the last part of the season. Like, are they a couple years away as they continue to rebuild, or are they, peaking at the right time?
I mean, you've gone from 0-4 to 6-4 region champs. I mean, that's awesome to see. I saw them play last week firsthand. They have gotten a lot better from the beginning of the season. Are they a state title contender? I don't think so. That's not to say they can't win. Let's see, 1, 2, maybe 3 games. I don't see them winning the upper state. I don't think they're quite that good this year. They are good enough to win a few games, but I don't think they're going to make a deep, deep run. I wouldn't say. Doesn't feel like.
A Daniel Westside game would be really fun, but I would side with Daniel.
Yeah, I think so as well.
All right, guys.
Well,
let's play the game.
How many teams can win state? I'll go first this time since I haven't gone yet. I've got 5. All right. 5. 2 for Jerel.
I think there's 2. I think there's the 2 that we've been talking about. Like, I think it's a collision course for these 2 teams to end up in Orangeburg. I think.
John, what do you like, John?
I want to say 4.
I like it. One thing that I keep leaning on and thinking back to that I think is a reason I may have had a team that y'all didn't have on there, and that's those guys over my shoulder right here. They were up 20-0 on South Florence in the lower state title last year and lost that football game. That has got to be a huge motivating factor for them. I'm not saying they're going to beat South Florence if they play them again, but you're darn sure they want to play them again. And I think that is a big factor for the Yellow Jackets. I think they've got a chance to get there for sure. But a team that I had a question mark about, ended up going no on, and I want to get y'all's thoughts. That's Bluffton, the Bobcats. The thought that I had was the way that they play offense, where they just sling it all over the yard. McCarthy, Warren, I think the UNC commit out wide. You got Patterson, the young stud. Is that a type of team that if things break the right way, you just light the scoreboard, you score 35, 40, 50 plus a game, that you could maybe make a deep run and possibly get there?
I picked them more than I should have this year because I felt the same way all season, and they just didn't get it done. And I haven't seen Bluffton play this year, so I can't put a finger on why things weren't as good offensively as I thought they would be. And again, hey, maybe that region's better than we think. Maybe it's not as good as we think. But I'm taking Hilton Head out of that region.
Yeah,
I mean, Hilton Head might be my number 5 team. If I'm picking a 5th team.
Yeah, I don't think so, unfortunately. I just the way the bracket shakes out. I mean, I like the way they play offense, but again, when you look at who they play hypothetically in the next round, North Augusta, I just don't see a situation where they could beat those guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun for a lower state especially. And I think the team in upper state that we're just kind of laying in the weeds about is Daniel. Like you mentioned them earlier, Jerel, like what they went through all season, all the talk and all the drama there to turn around and play the way they've played. One loss just to a really good Stratford team that we think really highly of in 5A. I think Daniel is poised to make a deep run, man. I think that Lions group of Coach Stone is kind of laying in the weeds, probably just the way they like it right now. They're a team to look out for, but should be a lot of fun. Let's move down to 3A now, John. Did I miss any comments, Jerel? Are we good? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the comments you put up there. Are we good on that?
We're good. Let's go to 3A.
Let's look at 3A now, John.
All right. At 3A, on the upper state side, Powdersville will host Carolina High. Pendleton is at home against Broome. Mountain View will host St. Joseph's. Union on the road against Crescent. Actually, I think I said Pendleton at home. That's Pendleton at Broome, by the way. Belton Honeypath hosting Palmetto. Chapman will travel to Southside Christian. Christ Church at home against Walhalla. And Woodruff will host West Oak. On the lower state side, Oceanside, they will be hosting, is that Georgetown that I see over there?
Are we looking? Yes. Oceanside, Georgetown.
That's another team where it's like, well, yeah. I love Georgetown. I got a Georgetown shirt.
There's some tough ones in the playoffs. There's
not a playoff team. One of our Kona games of the week, Marlboro County on the road against Swansea. Silver Bluff hosting North Charleston. Dillon will host Fox Creek. Laurence is at home against Battery Creek. Keenan travels to Orangeburg, Wilkinson. Hanahan at home against Waccamaw, and Newberry will host Aner.
Not a lot of great games here in round one. To me, it doesn't. I mean, we mentioned Swansea, Marlboro County. We like that one. Maybe Silver Bluff, North Charleston. North Charleston's not bad this year. Hanahan, Waccamaw, I think could be pretty good, but there's not a lot that really intrigues me in round 1 to 3A.
No, and there's not. No, I think you nailed it. I mean, maybe Keenan, Orangeburg, Wilkinson.
And I think Keenan beat them last year round 2, but I think Keenan's just not the same team this year, man. They've just not put it all together. It feels like almost. Yeah, and again, I think you mentioned Silver Bluff, North Charleston. It seems like Silver Bluff is playing much better football lately. North Charleston's been a little bit, I don't know if you could say underrated, but maybe playing a little bit better of a team than the record shows. But yeah, not a ton of action here in round 1 for 3A. Now, second round, I like some stuff here. Potential Powdersville Broome. Broome beat them 53-45 earlier on the season. So that could be a potential spot for an upset there. BHP Southside Christian. That Sabres bunch has been so hard to figure out for me. I don't want to count them out against anybody right now. They're playing good football. But I don't know. I think there's just not a lot to really look at early on here in the 3A playoffs, it feels like. Especially lower state, like the round 2 games. I don't see a close one in round 2. I think there's going to be some blowouts there in lower state as well.
I think Dillon Silver Bluff is a fun matchup. 2 really, really good programs, 2 really good fan bases. Dillon's should be a heavy favorite in that game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree. And what scares me about 3A is I look at this bracket and my eyes, they just keep drifting to the top right and seeing Oceanside up there. And that's a big name over there.
Yeah. So favorite sleepers, thoughts like that. Jerel, feel free to pop in here. Obviously, upper state, you look at a Powdersville team, a Woodruff team, a BHP team. Those I think got to be the favorites here in upper state. Lower state, it's Oceanside. And after that, I think it's, Newberry and Laurence, probably the next 2. Dillon, very intriguing. Like you said, John, they've got some really nice wins. The one loss to Laurence, I think, by a point in that game. Like, they played really tight against them. Who do you guys like to maybe kind of surprise some folks in both halves here?
I hate to say this. I don't know there's going to be many surprises. And if there are, I don't know where they come from. I think for me, and if you look at the bracket and you go, and again, here I go again, talking about a 1 seed, I think a team that can make a move is Powdersville in the upper state. Whereas really, I think you think about Woodruff is probably maybe out of us three, maybe the favorite. Woodruff and BHP, the favorites in upper state. But Powdersville is a little bit of my sleeper to look out for that could get there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Get there to Orangeburg.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I look at the top part of that bracket, and it's hard to say Powdersville is a sleeper. They're at the top of the bracket, but they're probably my team. But the way the bracket shakes out is you got to consider MVP as well. I mean, we kind of buried them after Woodruff, but the way that bracket shakes out, if they're able to win a few games, I mean, they're right there at the upper state championship, and depending on how it goes, they could be hosting. So that's very interesting. But again, on the other side, I look at OW. As somebody else, they're a 2 seed, but we're called them a sleeper. But those are my teams. I think MVP is the one to really watch out for.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, I think if Powdersville, you got to watch out for Broome because Broome already beat you in round 2. But I think that MVP Powdersville game can be really good. MVP obviously probably played their worst game of the year, but obviously that's the best thing they played too against Woodruff. So hard to judge them there. The 2 teams that I've kind of got an eye on here, the 2 private schools, Southside Christian. I mentioned they've just been so tough to figure out for me this year. Played really good down the stretch, it felt like. I don't know if they're good enough to beat BHP. I don't know, but you can't sleep on them. And then Christ Church, it feels like I say every week how much talent they've got. And I don't know if they played their best football yet. And maybe it happens in the playoffs. I don't know. But they're another team I got an eye on. Lower State, I think we hit it already. Dillon, Laurence, Marlboro County, Newberry. Maybe a OW team. I know they got drubbed pretty good by Oceanside last week, but they've got some talent there for Coach Carter. But I don't know what to make outside of those kind of heavy hitters. So any other comments from you guys before we do our favorite game of how many teams can win state?
Let's do it.
All right. Who wants to go first? How many teams can win state in 3A?
I'll go first. Mine's contingent on a huge domino following. Everybody knows. I'll just go ahead how I feel about Oceanside. I think Oceanside is far and away. I think they're in a class of their own right now, depending, they knocked off Dutch Fork. I mean, that speaks for itself. But if they were to lose, I think then I go to 6 teams. And that's
16?
about as much. 6.
16 for Jerel. Wow. Half the
6. 5 plus 1. 6 teams.
John, what do you got?
Just 1.
Wow. John's going with the 1. I mean,
he did it.
And like we talked about, I think it's like there is or at least to us on our show all year long, there's been a clear favorite.
Yeah.
But if you somehow take them out, then it really opens up. And that's what I've got. I've got 8.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've got 8.
That domino falls.
If there's a way that I think if Oceanside loses there, it opens up for everybody. It feels like to me. Like I've got 4 upper state, 4 lower state on my card. So
yeah, I think that's fair. But that's the thing. It's contingent on that one. Like if that one stumbles, then there's a lot. I think there's a lot. We've talked about 3A. The net is wide. I think it spreads out. There's some really, really good teams there. And John is just incredulous that we're saying this. I love it.
I'm just, I can't believe my ears.
Who we think is the favorite. But like if something happens, I don't know. Maybe the refs, have a bad game. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Kevin's still scarred from the Duke game. Let's go to 2A, guys.
Let's look down at the 2A playoff bracket now.
All right, let me give me a second to recollect.
John's just shook right now.
process what I'm hearing. All right, on to 2A. Clinton will be at home against North Central. Saluda at home, or Saluda traveling to Mid Carolina. Andrew Jackson hosting 96. Fairfield Central will be hosting Chesney. We've got Chester at home against Blacksburg. Batesburg, Leesville hosting Eau Claire. Strom Thurmond at home against Chesterfield. Liberty at home against Pelion. Then in the lower state, Hampton County hosting Lake City. Andrews will travel to Sherrall. Manning hosting Academic Magnet. Timberland at home against Barnwell. Central Pageland at home against Kingstree. Lake Marion will host East Clarendon. Philip Simmons at home against Whale Branch. And Atlantic Collegiate hosting Woodland.
2A, it feels to me like it's a little bit deeper because you got a few more just at least decent like games, like okay. But I mean, but you look, I'm gonna say this right now. So you got Clinton and North Central. You got 2 7-3 teams here. This is not gonna be close. Like I don't care what the records are. It's gonna be Clinton by 40. I don't care what their record is. That's not gonna be a good one there. But I do like Mid Carolina Saluda, a Mid Carolina team that kind of snuck up on us. Beat Chester pretty handily a couple weeks back. Saluda has had a couple tough losses lately to Batesburg, Leesville, and Strom Thurmond, but they've got a good squad there. I think that could be a good one. After that, I think Sherrill and Andrews is interesting to me there.
Yeah.
Andrews got a really good defensive end, Chris Stewart, who can change the game. But I think Sherrill has gotten healthy now. They're playing good football. They're playing well at the right time for Coach Poole, it feels like there. Another one in the lower state, too, I want to look at. Barnwell going to Timberland, a Barnwell team that was just ravaged by injuries early on in the season, has got some guys back, played really well the last 2 weeks, had 2 nice wins. They've actually gone to more of a wishbone offense due to the injuries, but Jaden Peoples has played great. I think they threw 1 pass last week. It was their first pass in 3 weeks, John. So I think Barnwell is trending upwards, and I think Timberland may have gotten a little bit exposed the last couple weeks. Phil Simmons, handled them pretty easily. It felt like there may be some weaknesses there for the Wolves. That's a guy that's a game I got my eyes on Friday night for sure.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
So favorites, sleepers, what do you guys like here in 2A? I know last year, it was a murderer's row. It felt like upper state and lower state. This year, maybe not quite as loaded on both sides, but still some really good football teams.
For me, I'm going sleeper. I'm going Phillip Simmons. I think they've really come on toward the end of the year. I picked Timberland to beat them, shut them out 22. I think it was 22-0. This is a team that we haven't talked a ton about. I don't know that they get the love from around the state that they maybe deserve. I think this is a team to keep your eye on.
Yeah, I like Phillip Simmons. I think that's a good call. Again, we're calling sleepers 1 seeds, which is crazy. But Fairfield Central is another one I look at. That bracket is just tough for them. That's the only thing that scares me about Fairfield Central. They did not get the best of draws, but I think that's a really good football team as well.
Another one, I know we just talked about 1 seed sleepers, but a team that wins their region again, Manning, the Monarchs, like they're a 1 seed. We don't talk about them. They're getting healthy as well. I know John Tavius Canty missed a ton of time. I think he rushed for 200 plus last week, though. He's back now for Coach Kennedy there. That's a group that's always tough in the playoffs. They can make a little run, it feels like, there in their pod for sure. And you guys, I mean, if you want to talk sleepers and talk a lower seed, it's a team that I think we all had really high in the polls early on in the year, and that's Jerel. I mean, they're a 3 seed now. They've got the talent to make some noise. Obviously, that Hampton County matchup in round 2 looms large there if they get to that one, but they've got the talent to make a deep run in lower state, it feels like.
Especially if they win that second round game. They win those. If they can get by, I mean, Andrew's going to be tough. They can win these first 2 games. Look out.
Yeah.
All right. Pick them. John, go first, since you gave us so much grief about last round.
I'm going to go I'm more open, casting a wider net here. I'm going to go 5 here in 2A.
Only 5?
Only 5.
Wait till you hear mine. He's counting while he's tallying. I got 2. I only got 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm keeping it narrow here.
I like it.
And obviously one's the defending champ.
I just can't even say this with a straight face.
He's got 12. He's literally doing tally marks, John. I mean, he's counting. Get the toes out.
It's got to be double digits.
Calculator.
I've got 9 and 3 question marks.
Jesus. It's all over it, John. I was all over it. What'd I say?
I got
12.
9 and 3 question marks, boys.
12.
I think this is a little more open.
12.
I think there are a lot of teams that are really good. I really do. And it's obviously this goes past the 1 seeds. I mean, we talked about those 1 seeds already, but you mentioned the Fairfield Central team is good. I think Batesburg Leesville has really, really played well down the stretch here.
They're one of mine too.
I mean, Central, they're not a 1 seed. They're really good. I think there's a lot of solid football teams that can make a run. And actually, 3 question marks, I'd probably lean no on all 3 of those. Honestly, so probably 9 is where I'm at. But there's some good squads in upper and lower state, it feels like to me. And I feel like especially one reason I had so many because lower state feels a little more wide open. Like I don't feel like you have those big dogs like you have in the upper state, like we have at the Strom Thurmond and a Clinton almost.
The people want us to get to 1A. I got to ask you a question before we go there, though.
Yeah.
How many of those those teams that you have are from Region 4 over there, that split region. I know you're going to say at least 3.
2 and a question mark.
There we go.
2 and a
Moving
question.
on to 1A.
All right.
How many do you have, John?
2.
See,
All
we're
right.
right there. Same thing.
0 for me. Let's go.
Wow, Jerel is just a hater. It's okay. Looking down at the 1A slate now, John. Let's pop that on the screen and roll through the 1A bracket.
All right. We'll start out with Abbeville. They'll host Great Falls. Louisville is at home against Whitmire. Blackville Hilda hosting McCormick. C.A. Johnson will travel to Calhoun County. Hunter Kenner Tyler at home against Lee Central. Ware Souls hosting Ridge Spring Monetta. Lamar at home against Calhoun Falls. Dixie will host Wagner Sally. And then in the lower state, Cross, they get a bye. They don't have to play this week.
I believe that was Greensea Floyd's backed out of the playoffs due to some injury concerns there.
Okay. Ridgeland, they'll host Bethune-Bowman. Scotch Branch will host Hannah Pamplico. Johnsonville at home against Branchville. Carvers Bay hosting Allendale Fairfax. Hardyville will be at home against Lakeview. Bamberg Earhart hosting St. John's. And Baptist Hill will travel to Latta.
Now, this slate stinks. I'm just going to say it. I mean, I don't think there's a game I'm excited about. I mean, you're grasping at straws here. You get like a HKT Lee Central or like a Dixie RSM. Latta Baptist Hill, I guess, is decent. There's just not much in 1A that really excites me.
I think that Latta Baptist Hill is I think that's the game of the week in 1A.
Yeah. That's not a bad one. I mean, the other one, I don't mind Scotch Branch, Hannah Pamplico. Scotch Branch is a good team. Hannah Pamplico, I feel like it's been in a lot of games, not won a lot, but they've been in a lot. So
They got potential. Yeah.
Round one, it does not look great for me. I'm looking forward, though, favorites, sleepers, whatnot. I think Abbeville, obviously a favorite. They always are. Upper State, outside of that, you look at Lamar. Had the big region, clinching win last week. Louisville, we think has kind of turned a corner as well. They're playing better football right now. They're a team that can make some noise. Lower State, I think, is where it's really interesting. We've all been high on Cross, Carvers Bay, Bamberg Earhart all year. Outside of that, we've had teams like Johnsonville's in the poll for a while. I think Lakeview and Latta both, were in there for a little bit. I think Lower State's a little more open, but man, that Bamberg Earhart team is playing such good football. I think I read where they've allowed 6 points in region play, like throughout all region play. They're shut down on defense and electric on offense right now. Brian McMillan, Marcus Cannon, that crew for Coach Clark Crosby. They're a really good group. What do you guys see? Is there any sleeper that you're eyeing? Anybody outside of the normal names that feels like a 1A that can make a run?
It's a normal name, but I think from the season that they've had, I still think Johnsonville is the team that, is going to be a main player in the lower state bracket. And they're not a 1 seed.
That's right. And good call there, Brandon. Yeah, we had the old bracket. Sorry, Great Falls filling in for McBee there in the 1A ranks. McBee had some more injury concern. Or actually, they opted out, I believe, as well there. So, yeah, I don't see anybody. For me, the only team that's not on the 1 line that I think, just because I like their talent, Louisville is the only one I could see doing something that's not on the 1 line. Ware Shoals has had a great season, but I think we saw last week when they played one of the heavy hitters in Abbeville, like this, it's just a little different ball game right now. I do think Ware Shoals can probably win 2 games before they see Lamar, and then that's probably where the season ends there, it feels like. But I don't know, it just feels like the mainstays are the mainstays in 1A right now.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I don't really have any sleepers. It's kind of hard when you get here. It's kind of hard to have sleepers too when Abbeville and Bamberg have played so well this year. So yeah. I just think those teams are the 2 clear-cut favorites. Yeah,
well, let's do it. I'll go first this time. How many teams do you guys think can win state? I'm going to preface this by saying everybody knows Abbeville is really good. And
here comes the big
really good. But if there's a year to get them, this might be the year. I've got 6.
All right. I've got 3.
I've got 4, and it's a stretch. So I got
Ooh.
4.
Hey,
That's a
the boys are thinking. The boys
All
are
right.
thinking.
for sure.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got 4. It's a stretch.
I cannot wait to see this lower state bracket. Like I am really high on Bamberg Earhart. I'm really high on Carver's Bay. Probably not as high on Cross as I have been, but this is the team that went to the state championship last year, so maybe I should be.
Yeah.
Big Cross is always there. Caden Ramsey, you got a player like him, you can do whatever you want. It feels like. I mean, he's a stud. So I think lower state's going to be great. Upper state, it's not going to be easy for Abbeville. It's not. I mean, I like Louisville. I like Lamar. Obviously, good teams there, but
Where's
I think
Shoals?
this could be one of the better 1A playoffs we've seen in a few years.
And I think, obviously Abbeville's the favorite, but I think whoever comes out of that lower state bracket, I think that's going to be a game to watch. Obviously, if you go on paper, a Bamberg Earhart Abbeville matchup, that's pretty intriguing this year. I mean, it's you talked about, hey, maybe this is the year you get Abbeville, and Bamberg Earhart has been playing really, really dominating.
Yes.
That would be fun. Talk about Carver's Bay. I'm still not sure how good Carver's Bay is, but I think they're really good. And we're going to find that out. And hey,
I just love their run game, Carver's Bay, just being able to run the ball and, having one of the best offensive linemen, in the state, on that bunch. That's what I like about Carver's Bay.
It's a big deal. No pun intended.
For sure.
No, and I do want to say this, because I know obviously we're going to get to our polls here in a minute. The poll flipped completely for Abbeville and Bamberg Earhart. The prep poll did a while back, and I don't love it. I think it's just because they look at win-loss records. I mean, Abbeville has lost to just studs, lose to Powdersville and Westside. They beat Batesburg, Leesville. They beat Southside Christian. They beat 96. They beat all these bigger schools, but yet they dropped down because they lost to a 1 seed in 3A and a 1 seed in 4A. And I don't know if I agree with that with that poll, but I think we've had Abbeville number 1 in ours the whole time. So 1A is going to be fun. 1A is going to be fun. But
for sure. Well, let's thank some friends real quick.
Yeah, let's
thank some
I know we
friends real
missed
quick.
earlier, Jerel. We'll figure it out later on. But let's thank some friends of the program here.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
Schedule your sewer drain clearing with Preferred Home Services today. If we can't clear it, it's free.
Electrical, plumbing, cooling too.
Go, 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 Preferred!
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice. The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. That was a lot.
Yeah. Got to pay the bills.
I love it. Well,
we went through the whole bracket, so that's
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Let me read off the SCISA slate right quick, and then we'll get to our pick'em winners. In 8-man, we've got JDA hosting Wardlaw. WW King getting a bye will face the winner of that game. We've got Holly Hill hosting Richard Wynn, and Laurence Academy getting a bye hosting the winner of that one. In the 1A slate, Colleton Prep hosting Lee Academy. Dorchester hosting Beaufort. Dorchester won this game 21-8 earlier on in the year. I think the Raiders win again in that one. Williamsburg hosting Patrick Henry, and then Thomas Hayward hosting Carolina. Carolina beat them 30-27 just 2 weeks back. See, the Bobcats can do it again. In 2A, Calhoun hosting Hilton Head Prep. Bethesda hosting Thomas Sumter, and Greenwood Christian hosting Dillon Christian. Really good matchup here. Orangeburg Prep at PD Academy. PD last week, Tristan Heckman, 13 carries for 234, 3 touchdowns, and 9 tackles. Orangeburg Prep, really multiple on offense. Go to guys, tight end Tilden Riley, the Vanderbilt commit. I think the Golden Eagles at home, though, too much. I think they win the game at the line. In the 3A ranks, Wilson Hall hosting First Baptist, Hilton Head Christian hosting Trinity Collegiate. Pinewood will host Northside Christian, and John Paul II will travel to Florence Christian. And then in 4A, Northwood gets a bye. They will play the winner of our SCISA game of the week, Laurence Manning Porter-Gaud. Hammond gets a bye in the lower state, and they will play the winner of Heathwood Hall hosting Ben Lippen in the SCISA slate. Shout out our friends at Hanna Engineering. They have sponsored our Pick'em each and every week. We do a season-long Pick'em. We've now started our playoff Pick'em as well. Make sure you join that, a separate prize pool drill. Let's first show our Week 10 winners. We had 6 perfect scores. Andrew, Brian, Coach MT, Chris, Mark, and Tyler all with 11. A bunch of 10s. Jerel led us with 10. John and I both had 9 in Week 10. And now, drum roll for our overall winner for this season. We had Daryl B with 86. A heck of a run by Andrew C. That perfect score put him just 1 point back last overall. Ryan with also 85. I had 83. John 80. I had 84. John 80. Jerel 83. A great showing from Daryl. Hats off to Daryl. If you're in here, I'll reach out this week, get your address from you, shoot you your prize. And like I mentioned, join your playoff Pick'em now. It's on our email. It's on our social pages. Our email is sent out this week as well. It's a new contest. No drops. It's only 5 weeks, so no drops in this one. Love to have you guys join and doing our playoff Pick'em as well. Brought to you by Hanna Engineering. Our polls presented by First Team Sports Jerel. Our final regular season poll. We'll have this poll come out tonight. We will have our end of the year poll when the playoffs are over. But Jerel, do you want to start 1A or 5A on these polls here?
Start. We made everybody wait 1A, so let's just go ahead and go there. But Abbeville getting all 3 first place votes. Bamberg coming in at 2nd. Carvers Bay at 3. Cross at 4. And Lamar enters in the poll for the first time in the final regular season poll with their huge win this past weekend. So cool to see Lamar in there.
That's probably an oversight on our part because, I mean, Lamar's always good, and we should have known that throughout the year they're going to be good. But they're in there when it counts now at the end of the season. Yeah.
Top 4 remain the 4. That 5 spot has just been a revolving door of contenders all year. But cool to see Lamar there at the end of the year. 2A, still tied for first. We got Thurman and Clennon. Clennon getting 2 votes, and Thurman getting 1. Hampton County at the 3 spot. Central Pageland at 4, and Phillip Simmons at 5 with Batesburg-Leesville. Heavy favorite coming into the season as a state title contender, receiving votes. So excited to see what's going to shake out in those 2A playoffs.
Yeah, no changes. I think that poll is the exact same as last week, and I didn't change my votes. I don't believe. So I think you guys did either. So pretty static there. I do want to shout out. I got to see a bunch of Clinton guys at the Irmo Dutch Fork game last week. Shout out to those boys. Good talking to them in the concessions line. That was a lot of fun catching up with those boys.
Most definitely. 3A, surprise, Oceanside still getting all first place votes. This one stayed exactly the same. Oceanside at 1, Newberry 2, Loris 3, BHP 4, and Woodruff 5. Again, if you think there's any separation between 4 and 5, when I do the tally, they're literally all like 1 point between each other. So that's how close that one is. And then looking at 4A, South Point getting all the votes. This one stayed the same as well. South Point, South Florence, Gray, Hilton Head, Daniel with North Augusta receiving votes. Looking up at 5A Division 2, new number 1, Northwestern getting all 3 first place votes. Irmo slides out of that top spot for the first time this year after falling to Dutch Fork. Hanna at 3, Greenwood at 4. Berkeley slides up to 5 as Indian Lane slides out to the receiving votes category. And D1, Dutch Fork remains at number 1. This one also stayed the same. Dutch Fork at 1, getting all first place votes. Somerville at 2, James Island at 3, Stratford 4, and Sumter at 5.
And it's odd too, I guess, Division 2, with the Irmo thing. Like I the way they lost that game as well. Like I feel like they didn't play their best football. Like I know you watched a lot of that one, John. Offensively, they didn't have anything going at all until the fourth quarter, and then even a couple of those touchdowns were like tip passes. So it wasn't a very clean game for the Yellow Jackets there. That does give me a little bit of worry heading into the playoffs. They actually switched quarterbacks in the fourth quarter as well. I don't know what they're going to do next week when they start playing, how that situation is going to shake out there. I was really pleased with the defense. They held Dutch Fork to 28 points, but honestly, the whole first half they played on their half of the field. Like the offense was, Dutch Fork dominated time of possession and field position. in that half especially. So the defense to really keep them in the game, I thought was really impressive. And they caused a late fumble as well. Got the fumble recovery to give them a chance to get back in the game. I thought the Irmo defense did enough. The offense didn't quite play their best last Friday. Had to get that figured out as the playoffs roll around for sure.
But you look at that final score and you talk about the field position early in the game. You got to. I don't know that you can improve your special teams at this point. Really, it's how much yardage can you chew up on punts? What kind of coverage can you get there? But then all of that said, at the end of the game, they should have scored.
Yeah, you got 2 plays from the 5-yard line. Yeah,
you got a guy open. You just can't quite connect on it. You run what it looked to be the same play. Again on fourth down. Dutch Fork was ready for it on the second time around. But you are, and I was watching the game, from the TV perspective, and I texted you, Kevin, because on that third down play. And the camera is too far away for me to know whether, it's catching up. I was like, man, it looked pretty close. I don't know how close it actually was in real life, but, again, you're that close to win the game. And the narrative is completely different.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't play your best game and you beat Dutch Fork. Yeah. You're one play away from that being the story. So they're still a really good football team. Well coached, ton of talent. They deserve the number 2 spot. They're really good. And I think the gap from 2 to 3 I think it's bigger than the gap from 1 to 2.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Quite a bit bigger.
I'd agree.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a strange game, man. You got to look at it. It's like a game. It was like a basketball game. It's a game of runs. It looks like, Dutch Fork rattled off a bunch there in that second quarter where they went off. And then at the end of the game, Irmo just comes out of nowhere and I'm looking up and they got a chance to win the football game. So, making me look a lot better after I ran my mouth last Tuesday, but seems like two really good teams. And again, I don't. Yeah, we talked about it last week. This is a situation where both of those 5A state titles could very well end up in Irmo, South Carolina this year. But I think Northwestern might have something to say about that other one. And Adoree, I don't know. He's asking about Indian Land. I mean, we had to move them out. I mean, they got destroyed. I don't know if that's a serious question or not.
Yeah, non-competitive. Last week that was a tough look for the Warriors there for Coach Hastings. But yeah, appreciate our friends at First Team Sports for helping us bring those polls each and every week. Want to shout out our teams of the week. We had Lamar, Northwestern, Dutch Fork, and TL Hanna, all powered by Preferred Home Services. And our players of the week insured by the Georgia Agency. We had Mike Doe at North Augusta, Carter Hawkins at Timberland, Hayden Myers at River Bluff. Appreciate our friends at First Team Sports, Preferred Home Services, and the Georgia Agency for helping us bring those polls, teams of the week, and players of the week each and every week. John, Jerel, I guess before you guys get to talk, I'll go ahead and shout out the rest of our socials and whatnot. So if you guys are watching us now, we really appreciate that. Be sure to tune in next week, next Tuesday, 7:15. We'll have our round 2 playoff preview show. Be sure to follow us here on Facebook, on Twitter/X, on Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, website movingchains.com, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Outside of our preview shows, we have coach interviews, player interviews, feud reviews, teams of the week, players of the week, all kinds of great stuff. Be sure to check that out all week long, all season long on all of our socials. Get your Movin The Chains merch right now. Some great T-shirts, black, navy blue, and pink. Order one today. You can email info@movingchains.com to get yours. Some great hoodies, a gray hoodie with that design, also a stone one. We have some Movin The Chains stickers. Get yours today. Looks great on your laptop, your car, your cup. Movin The Chains toboggans, gray and black. And then some great hats as well. Richardson hats, we got a gray front with the black front one up there as well. Email info@movingchains.com or just DM us on social media. Love to get you guys wearing some of our gear, helping us support the brand as we try to grow this thing bigger and better. Jerel, John, thoughts on round 1 of the playoffs as a whole, whatever you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, I think we all feel that round 1's going to be pretty chalk. I'm curious to see if what upsets we see. I'm sure we'll see at least one game that we didn't expect. So I'm excited to see what surprises we have around the corner here this weekend.
Yeah, this one's always bittersweet. I think this week is the most bittersweet week. I mean, obviously you have a lot of kids who had to turn in equipment, get ready for basketball and wrestling. So salute to those kids, especially a lot. We always do a recap at the end of the season of players that we've really covered over the years, but salute to everyone who threw on the pads this year. And it just continues week in and week out. I mean, it's win or go home time. So that's going to be the theme going forward. But it's bittersweet also because the playoffs just go by so fast. I mean, we're going to be in Orangeburg before we know it, and then we're going to be talking 2026 before we know it. But I'm going to savor it. Round one should be fun. As I mentioned every single week, if you're listening to us on Tuesday, please get out to a game on Friday. Even if your school is no longer in the playoffs or anything like that, just go support somebody nearby because it's always fun to watch high school football in the state of South Carolina. Kevin, we're 12 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube. So
we need it. Run it up, boys.
I'm just going to start making some burners here in a minute. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. This is a long show today doing this playoff preview, but thanks for everybody sticking with us.
Really appreciate it. I do want to once again thank the folks at Irmo last week for having us out there. Had a great time. Got to see the AD, Mr. Calvert there. Got to talk to Coach Williams, Coach Wright, Coach Braswell, Coach Brand, Coach Knotts, guys on both sides. A lot of fun talking to them. The Blue Marble guys, love talking to him. Jesse Bryant, as always. Patrick, Victoria, Rachel, and the kids, Jackson Knotts, Kyle Henry, Stone Furry, who all gave us some time for interview postgame. Love talking to those guys.
Glue hands.
What's that?
Is it Glue Hands?
Glue Hands, that's right, Stone Furry. Appreciate him and all the guys for talking to us, man. Had a great time at Irmo. Was a lot of fun. Always a great stadium. And WC Hawkins is a great environment, and it's a great place to watch a football game. Was a great one again on Friday. So if you see us at a game Friday, come say hello. I got no clue which game because it's just not the best slate, as you know. But we'll be somewhere. So come say hello if you see us for sure. But going to be a lot of fun. It certainly is. So I can't wait to playoffs rolling. This is the new season. It's 0-0. Everybody's got a chance. Not really, but you say that. You say everybody's got a chance, but everybody doesn't really have a chance. But going to be a lot of fun, man. For John Epps and Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our round one playoff preview show, talking all things South Carolina high school football here on Moving the Chains. We will catch you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin' the Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin' Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.